Okay, I wanted to make a video. Um, I saw a couple of videos that started because this is how basically how YouTube's rhythm algorithm works. Let me adjust this fan. Okay, I saw this video. Um, Basically, it was this algorithm. The music industry start popping up in different videos on YouTube. I guess I must have clicked some music industry videos, and of course, naturally, more music industry videos start popping up. And so I was like, let me. I'm compelled to say this because the music industry, people are still saying the music industry is dead and yada yada yada, and the music industry is dying and all that. And I just shake my head because the reason why I just shake my head is because sometimes we get so accustomed to using words incorrectly that they become normal. And what I mean by that is, for example, saying someone's an American when Canadians are actually American, Mexicans are actually American, because every country within the continent of North America makes them American. It's like the same thing with there's 50 countries in Africa, which means there are 50 countries, but everybody, whether you're from Angola, Senegal, Togo, can still be considered African. Same thing with Asia. There's, I don't know, hundreds of countries in Asia, from Russia to Iraq to Syria to Japan, and every last one of those countries, of all the people, because it falls within the continent of Asia, makes them Asian. But so, getting back to my point on the music industry versus the music business, we and I'm just shaking my head when people keep saying the music industry is dead. No, the music industry is a very much alive and well, because people think the music industry is only artists, and I'm talking about record contracted artists to a label is the industry. They think that's it. If you The music industry is basically, it's complete is extremely broad. If you are a musician or an artist, or a singer or whatever, and you perform for people, and that's what you do, basically, um, whether it's every week, every month, or whatever, you're always performing for people, and you're enjoying doing that, and that's what you love doing, and so forth, and that's what you want to do, entertain people, whether you're making money at it or not. You are in the music industry. It's no different than the medical industry or the the law enforcement industry. You don't have to be a cop to be in law enforcement, or with dealing with law. You can be a lawyer. That still falls within the law industry. Or whether you're a judge, that falls within law or judiciary. The law. Because like people say, when they say police officer, they think the police officers are law. No, police officers are law enforcement. So laws are created by legislative branches, right? And mayors and city, and so forth, and the Senate and the House and all that creates laws. Once those laws are created, whether it's on a local, county, or state or federal level, laws are enforced by law enforcement officers. And any law enforcement agency, whether it's a police department, sheriff department, highway patrol, constable, city marshal, whatever laws they have to enforce, and penalties would be citations, arrest, or whatever. Well, the industry's the same thing. The music industry, and the reason why I say this is because if you are a studio engineer owning a recording studio, you and you that's what you do for business, you are in the music industry. Or if you are a band playing in a local top 40 band that plays in local nightclubs, you're gigging at local nightclubs, you are in the music industry. If you are a music producer producing music for artists, you are in the music industry. And it just you get where I'm going with that. There are so with the wide amount of people that subscribe to my channel and subscribe to multiple channels, and they're interested whether it's into music production or recording, whatever the case, people have an interest in getting into the music industry in some way or another, whether it's to do their own personal stuff or to do it for other people, or a combination of both. People want to get in the music industry, just like there are always artists performing, there are always people performing. Even if you play in a gospel group and you play for your church, you are in the music. If you are in a music ministry in a church, you are in the music industry. If you are a live sound engineer and you do it for concerts, you do it for houses of worship or whatever the case, you are in the music industry. And I just can't stress that. So people keep saying the music industry is dead. No, the music industry is live and well, because millions of people are doing one of those former fashions weekly to practically daily. If there's some studio recording an artist, if there's some band performing in a live, gigging in a live, whether it's a club or whatever, or if there's major artists playing at performing at the Grammys or an award show, or there's a gospel group performing at their church, even though they call it music worshiping, they're still performing. So to say all that is this. Now, to clarify, what's dead or what's dying is the music business model. That's what's dead or dying, not the industry. The business side is what's dying. In other words, the traditional way artists and record labels and all that, producers and so forth, would make money. It's changed. The game has changed because people don't feel the need to buy CDs or physical hard product that was the norm back in the cassette, a vinyl, a CD, or whatever. People don't feel the need to do that no more. People want to download it, stream it, or whatever the case. Listen to it on radio or satellite radio, whatever, internet radio. That's the normal, what people want to do when it comes to music now. People don't want to buy a CD no more because people rather put it on hard drives, such as their tablet or iPads, their phones, their iPhones, or their Androids or whatever. And that's what people want to do. That's how people want to be able to have their own huge library, because you can put a lot more songs on a hard drive on the phone than you can on a CD. Because phones have 32 gigs, 64 gigs, 128 gigs of storage. What was the average amount of space on a CD? About 700 megabytes. So how many megabytes did it take to make 1 gig? So you're talking, 700 megabytes on a CD would get you about maybe 10, 12, 14, depends on the length of the song and how much storage space it took up. So 14, 15, 16 songs on one CD versus if I have a 64 gig hard drive on my phone, I can probably get, instead of 14, I can probably get 1,000 songs. So that's the reason why people just don't. And on top of that, CDs with CDs, with the risk of CDs scratching and getting damaged or whatever, if the CD is scratched or damaged or like that, it's unplayable. It becomes, but when you're dealing with digital information, like being on your hard drive, you know, unless your phone has a virus or gets corrupted or whatever, the music will always play. The same thing with most people have. When you have terabytes of storage on your computer, now we're talking tens of thousands of songs, along with everything else, videos and photos and everything else. So the business model was a record label's biggest moneymaker was physical hard sales. So they had to change their business model to continue to make money. Instead of having split deals or 50-50 deals or whatever the case, they had to start doing 360 deals and everything else, because people, the more and more people realize that the whole aspect of becoming more and more into the industry as they make their money, they realize people are starting to realize that record labels are no longer becoming necessary, because record labels' model was to only give an artist a small percentage of the profits that they make, and on top of that, recoup anything that they give the artist. You know, nothing. And people have caught on to this, and a lot of people don't like that practice. They don't like the model of how record labels work, even though record labels will say, well, we can get you out there fast or whatever the case, and that's dependent. And then there are some people out there saying that, well, record label, your chances of blowing up and becoming successful because we can get you on the radio. Well, let's say the record label can get you on, let's say, for example, let's use New York City, a very popular radio station in New York City. Well, it's all about timing when it comes to radio on that, because it all depends on who's listening to the radio, that channel. So that's the reason why they would do a lot of rotations. You know, eventually, at one point, people would listen to the radio, and eventually that artist would get heard. But you gotta remember, even if there's about 8 million people in New York, but just because there's 8 million people in New York doesn't mean that all 8 million people are listening to the same radio station. So it could only be 1 million people listening to a certain radio station, and so forth. But even if it's 1 million people, that's 1 million people that watches or listen to that, and they heard the artist at one point, if they're rotating the artist all day, you know. Now, just because it's being heard in New York doesn't mean that people in Detroit, Chicago, Des Moines, Iowa, Denver, Colorado, Seattle, Washington, Los Angeles, California, San Diego, California, Houston, Texas, Miami, Birmingham. Y'all get the point. If it don't get on radio stations in those areas, the only people who's going to ever heard that artist would be the people in New York. So the point is, records said, well, we have to not only do a radio station have to get you on the radio station in New York, they got to get you on every popular radio station across the entire United States. That's that genre base, because not every radio station plays, like, for example, R&B is an example. Some radio stations are rock stations, or some are country, or some are jazz, some are gospel, some are Christian, some are popular, you know, some are EDM. It just depends on the audience of that radio station. So, but the old model was that That's the only way. And so they would pay a lot of the times program managers of radio stations to get artists on the radio because our artists would not play. Some radio stations would pick up, they would be easier to get some artists on certain radio stations than others because radio stations' business model is making money off of advertisement, and their advertisement is based on their audience. And so most of the radio stations, most of their money comes from local independent businesses buying advertisement time. And they look for prime time. Who's listening to the radio station? Most people listen to the radio station in the morning, in the afternoon, sometimes in the evening, because people are traveling. And a lot of times people have the radio station on in their car. And it might be a very popular radio station. So, but radio stations are being bought up by corporations, so they all play universal music that the corporation makes them play. Program managers don't have the control to have their DJs given free reign to pick song lists that they can play to capture audience. That's why you don't really hear too many slam it or jam it, rock it or drop it type of segments where independent or new artists can be felt by the audience. But the other part of the business model was distribution of product that people can go buy. Once they caught on to certain artists, they can go to like record stores and be able to buy the artist, or, whether it's a record store or even a distributor like Walmart or Best Buy, Target, or whatever the case. And they would go to the records section and they would see that artist CD or cassette or vinyl on being sold. Well, people don't necessarily do that anymore because they have access it from being able to download it from like Apple Music, Amazon, Google Play, and whatever the case. So people have instant access. But people it must be because I was over here. So people will only buy artists that they heard of. No one's gonna buy music or listen to music from an unknown artist. So, because they never heard of them. Now, going back, there's things on the internet that I'm seeing where people are trying to say there's this big secrets to the internet. There's no secret. There's no 12. How do you become successful? No. This music business boils down to this, and it's really simple. People have to like you, they have to like what you do, and they have to like you, and that's all it is. Once people have heard of you, seen you, they're going to gauge whether they like you or not. Very, very simple. There's no secret to that. As long as you can keep people to continue to like you and like what you do, you will stay successful. Period. As an example, people were liking what Michael Jackson was doing for years. People was liking what Prince was doing for years. So Prince could perform and he would sell out shows. And this is for a lot of artists. This could be Luther Vandross. This could be Howard Hewitt. This could be a band. It could be Green Day. It can be, because there are thousands of groups, artists, groups like bands, groups, artists, solo artists, quartets, quintets, trios, duets. There's been thousands. And some people can maintain being likable, pretty much their whole career. Like you could use an example. People are always going to like Mariah Carey's singing, so she's going to stay likable. People are going to always like what she does. People would always like, but people like, for example, Shaka Khan. Even if these artists don't have anything current, but they had such strong hits that people will continue to enjoy, even if they heard, for example, "Ain't Nobody" by Shaka Khan 1,000 times. Some songs are that good, and when it comes to a really good, strong song, it really boils down to how good the musicians interpret what the producer slash songwriter was trying to get. Uh, and that's the reason why, for example, "Ain't Nobody" um, is one of those songs that people never get tired of listening to, because it broke down to how well the musicians played the instruments to deliver that song. A lot of times, there's a lot of factors to why some songs, even though you can have a producer and you can have a producer and songwriter and all that, create have a song idea, the song itself, and then the musicians didn't interpret it well. Maybe the keyboard player didn't use the right patch. He wasn't playing the chords a certain rhythm way. Maybe certain even though the song can be, this is why it's key to a producer, to why a producer needs to be able to make sure that the song is being delivered that's making it likable, because this game for the music industry is all about how well people like you. That's there's no other secret to it. The minute people really stop liking you, they're gonna stop watching you, listening to you. They're gonna stop going to your concerts. Then that's when you fall off. And then that's when that's when the music industry career portion starts to die. But as long as people like you, they like what you do, they like the music that you're putting out, and on top of that, if you are not only just a singer but a dancer, people love when you can entertain them. As long as you can entertain people and keep them entertained and keeping them feeling happy and likable about what you do, they're going to continue to like you. That's it. And they're going to want to continue. They're going to want more of you. That's all it is. People are going to always want to go to your shows. They're going to always want to see what you're doing. They don't always want to hear new music if you're good and all that. But and with that, the perks would be on the business side, the money making, whether it comes from touring or whatever the case. So I just want to wrap this up about people are saying the music industry is dying, and it's not the music industry, because people are always constantly making music. And this is the reason why the music product, whether it's software or gear, hard gear, this is why this is always constantly being sold, because people are always buying gear. They're always buying software. They're always getting DAWs. They're always updating DAWs. There's always microphones being made, preamps, compressors, anything contribute to recording and so forth. That's why it's not dying. What have died is the old traditional record deal contract, where I'm only going to give you a tiny percentage of the market to be able to make money. The artists have to make their money other ways. They have to tour, they have to do radio spots, TV spots, all these other things that the artists have to make up, because the record label is trying to take so much from the artists. The object for what makes the business model was the record label's design was to give the artist as little as possible. But yes, the perk would be, yes, the artist can have the fame from it, but they won't get the fortune from it. The record label's gonna get the fortune from it. So this is gonna be to be continued. I want to talk about this in a live discussion on my next live stream, about shady record contracts in the music industry. I want to talk about that in my next live stream. I know I still want to do the music production side, but I really want to talk about this because I'm seeing more music industry stuff pop up, and people are talking about the industry, and they saying the industry's dying. It's not the industry; it's the business model of how people make money at it. That's what's dying, because everyone's gotten so accustomed of everything being freely accessible from the internet. So to make money at it is becoming harder and harder and harder. The old way made money, but some people made money, others didn't. This is such a complex, because some people have way more success than others. Some people are, and it boils down to, some people are just better singers, some people are better musicians, some people are better dancers than others, and some people are a lot more likable than others. But this is what the whole music industry is about. It's about being likable. So that's the key difference between the business and the industry. The industry is just a career in it. Whether you're going to be a producer, you're going to be a studio engineer, a songwriter, a publisher, a record label, an A&R, whatever the case, a musician, an artist, and you're performing in a local band, in a record, whatever the case may be, you're in the industry. Now, to make money at it, that's the business side. And right now, people just are right now, but it's kind of like with the economy and everything that's going on, it's so hard to make good money in the business side of it, because most people today just don't have that kind of money like they used to be able to spend into to support, to buy artist product and t-shirts and hats, and because everything's so easily accessible and freely accessible from the internet, it's kind of like people are like, why would I need to buy your t-shirt or your book or your hat? I can just download a picture. Why would I need to pay buy a picture from ours for $25 when I can go to the internet and download a picture for free? And some people say, well, if you get the picture, the artist signs it. Well, that also depends on if the signature's worth, but that's a different video. So that's going to do it for this video. I just want to talk about the industry versus the business. And the business side is what's in trouble, not the industry. People are always performing, are trying to perform, or trying to some way to, where they're trying to get into recording studios, their home recording studios, whatever the case may be. People are always, I told myself I was going to, which I'll do in the next video. I was going to, I told myself I was going to start doing my videos with this color background, but it's too late. I didn't practically recorded the entire video like this. So, but yeah, that's going to do it for this video. But I want to talk about the industry, because that's what I think I'm hearing a lot of that confusion going on. Other than that, thanks for watching. Y'all have a great one.